Good evening, everybody. I'd like to recall this meeting to reconvene. Thank you. This meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. Please let the record reflect that all members of the board are present this evening. If I could ask you all to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm not sure we did as good of a job as your grandsons with their cadence. Awesome. Boy, they kept us on a very specific cadence at your dinner the other night. Okay. Report of action taken in closed session. There was no action taken in closed session this evening. May I please have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Merkley moved and everybody else seconded. Mr. Clifford seconded.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The agenda is adopted as presented. Not very many introductions tonight. We'll take care of any additional introductions as we call you all up. We welcome you all. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to move right on to our favorite portion of the evening and our board recognitions. Dr. DeGrazia?
Yes, it's my pleasure to have Mr. Osborne introduce our California Classified School Employees of the Year for the state of California through LACO, LA County Office of Education. 6 outstanding, shining examples of our classified employees were recognized recently, and we wanted to recognize them at a board meeting as well. Mr. Osborne.
Thank you, Dr. DeGrazia. Good evening, President Reuter, members of the board, cabinet, and community members. It is my distinct pleasure to recognize 6 of our exemplary classified employees that have been recognized through LA County's 2023 Classified School Employee of the Year recognition program. Each of the following individuals have been nominated, and an application has been submitted on their behalf to the county for consideration of Employee of the Year within each of their respective classifications. When your name is called, please come stand right up next to me at the podium to be recognized. First up, let's give her a big round of applause. Margie, come on up. Margie Algori. This is Margie Algori, Classified School Employee of the Year for Technical Services. Margie has served our district as Information Technician Specialist for 12 years. Her knowledge and creativity in a variety of technical areas enables her to quickly navigate very complex issues. Margie has prioritized customer service, which is evident in the way that she responds to issues and communicates with staff. Please help me in congratulating Margie. Congratulations. Next up, Shannon Nelson. Come on up here, Shannon is in the classification of paraprofessional. Shannon Nelson has worked as a special education instructional assistant for 5 years. In her work at Goddard Middle School, Shannon has a daily positive impact on students and staff in which she interacts with. It is clear that Shannon has a deep love for her work and the students whom she supports. She is always student-centered, kind, and incredibly patient. Please help me in congratulating Shannon. Is Faith Werner here? Faith's not here. I'd like to read a little bit about Faith. Faith has served as the school office manager at Cullen Elementary for the past 9 years. In this capacity, Faith is responsible for overseeing the operations of the school, and as such, she is incredibly organized and efficient, being able to multitask in a highly fast-paced environment, and always has a smile. Let's give Faith a big round of applause. And is April Vasquez here? Okay. April has been part of the Nutrition Services Department for the past 5 years in the position of Nutrition Services Associate Senior at Cullen Elementary School. April comes to work daily with a smile on her face and an amazing attitude, which is appreciated both by the students and staff at Cullen. Please help me in congratulating April. If I could ask Miss Christine Wells to come up, please. Christine. Christine has served as an occupational therapist for 12 years at a variety of different school sites. Christine is a great leader, and she has a deep understanding of student assessment, research, and the application to support her kids. She maintains a positive relationship with her students, their families, and the staff, and has made a significant impact on the culture of our district. Congratulations, Christine. And is Angel Rivera here from Sutherland? No, Angel's not here? Okay. I'd like to read a little bit about Angel. Angel has served the district for 15 years, most recently as the day custodian at Sutherland Elementary School. Angel is a self-starter. He always takes initiative. If he sees a job to be done, he goes and takes the initiative to complete it. He jumps right in without hesitation. Angel also is one of the most joyful and positive individuals you can meet. He always has a smile on his face, and you could tell that he...
There, he's smiling.
Oh, there he is. Come on up, Angel. Hey, buddy. I'd like to start that over. So everybody, this is Angel. And as I mentioned, Angel is just an incredible custodian, incredible and valued member of the Sutherland staff. Angel has served our district for 15 years, most recently as day custodian at Sutherland Elementary School. Angel is a self-starter and takes initiative. If he sees a job to be done, he jumps right in without hesitation. Angel is one of the most joyful and positive individuals you can meet. You can tell by his smile that he wears on his face. You could tell that he truly cares about his work, about his school, the students, staff, and family of Sutherland. Please help me in congratulating Angel.
Thank you very much.
And we would love to get a picture. All right.
Really appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and congratulations to these 6 staff members. They're incredible.
There's a Buick in the parking lot with its trunk open. What color is the Buick in the parking lot? Anyone? Burgundy. There's a burgundy Buick in the parking lot with its trunk open. Okay, I believe we have some more recognitions.
We can do those right now. I'd like to recognize 2 people that are in the audience this evening. I believe they were both here. We had our AXA, Association of California School Administrators Awards on Friday night, and 2 of our members received an award. And they are here, and we'd like to recognize them for their ongoing leadership to our charter, meaning the Glendora Leadership Association. 2 of them, these fine-looking plants, are for you. Dr. Brian Murray and Miss Jeanette Walzak. Please congratulate them.
Let me see which one fits which personality. I do too. I actually do too.
Yeah, congratulations. Thank you.
Let's take a picture.
Picture?
Come on.
Picture with plants?
Smile, you guys always end up at the back.
I know, it's like. We're gonna just take those back. No, I won't let them forget them. Don't worry. No way. No. Okay, it's wonderful to recognize all of our wonderful employees. Thank you all so much for coming, and thank you to any family and friends that came to support their loved ones. We are going to move on now to public comment. Speakers may address the Board of Education on non-agenda and agenda items. Board policy requires that public presentations to the board comply with the procedure on the agenda. I have two here. So first is going to be Kent Sommer.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Kent Sommer. I'm here to talk about an event. I'm here with Mike Bell and his daughter Maya as well. The Glendora Memorial Day 5K. Really quick, a little bit about myself. I'm a Glendora resident, have been for many years, love it here. Nonprofit organization that I'm a part of, Phoenix Hope International, started a race in Redlands. My wife is from Redlands, and my mother-in-law was on the school board out there. And we partnered with the school board out there and with the schools to raise money for the schools and did a 5K in Redlands on Thanksgiving. Been doing it for 10 years, and we suddenly had the discussion, thanks to Mike, of why aren't we doing this in Glendora? And so we are putting on a race in Glendora. And what we are coming here to ask all of you is for your support of the race. We, just like we did out there, we want to partner with the Glendora schools. We want to raise money for the schools. We want to provide or donate at least half of the proceeds to the race to the Glendora schools. We've had meetings with some of the principals at the Glendora schools. They think it's great. They are in support of it. And basically the response has always been, hey, if the board, the superintendent are in favor of it, we're all in favor of it as well. It's our first year here doing it. We have modest expectations on how it's going to go based upon how it's been in Redlands. We're 10 years in the race in Redlands, and this year we raised $25,000 for the schools out there. That's our goal for here for Glendora. Mike and I are from here. We are residents here. I have 5 kids. 4 of them are currently in schools here, 3 here at Sellers, 1's at Goddard. We love it here. It's a fantastic community. One of the things we felt that it needed was a great community event and community race, and part of that, like I said, was partnering with the schools, raising money for the schools, donating half of the proceeds to the city, to the schools, through various means, to the PTAs. We wanted to have like competitions between the schools, directly to the schools, partnering with the Glendora Education Foundation, donating directly to them. At some point, we'd love to like donate directly to like the cross-country teams and the track teams and those teams that are able to come out and support it, whatever it may be, but partnering with the educational groups here, finding out their needs and providing and donating the money to them. We really want to make this a community event. We, like I said, this year have very modest expectations what it could be, but expect that in 5-10 years we'll have 2,000, 2,500 participants and really make it a great, fun community event that really does benefit the schools. So here tonight, I'm just here to let you know of this event that's happening on Memorial Day in the city. And then, like I said, you'll probably be having some principals or other people in your ear about it. And our request is just that you support it. We would love to have a flyer that goes out to all the students, just notifying them of it, an email blast, whatever it may be, just things like that you might be able to do. And knowing that, like I said, we are partnering with the foundation and to you to provide and to give half of the proceeds back to the Glendora schools directly. I'm out of time, but thank you, I appreciate it.
Next, we'll hear from Mike and Maya Bell. Ooh, that's quite all right.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you to Kent. Kent and I are competitive out there on the GYSO field. I also have a 4th grade son at Cullen, and this is my 6th grade daughter, Maya. I grew up in South Florida and went to these 5Ks with my family, and I became a competitive in 8th grade high school runner and went to Florida State University cross country and track. Now that I'm in this parenting phase and just being a Glendora, local, we're going to raise our families here. Maya will graduate GHS 2029 with Caden come on up 2031. But I'll leave the flyers here. Again, Ms. Farinato, Dr. A, Mr. Bishop. Those are the connections we have as families, but we're just looking for the support. And Maya, if you want to say a couple words.
So my name is Maya Bell, and I've been in Glendora from K to 6, and I went to Cullen, but now I'm at Goddard Middle School, and I do cross country and track. And I feel like this 5K would be a great way to get the community out there and running and get fit for the summer. And I support that we get the donations to the schools because I love Glendora and the community and everyone. And I just appreciate you for letting us be here. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Good job, Maya.
Thank you all for your comments. Those are the only 2 comment cards I have, but if anybody arrived a little late and has an additional comment, I'd be happy to host you now. Okay, seeing none, we're going to move right along to our student board member report. Take it away, Josh.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. I will be giving the report on 5 schools tonight. LaFetra Elementary's 4th and 5th grade girls will be participating in a kindness campaign on 4/19. Our student support specialist is coordinating this special interactive assembly for our girls, providing them strategies for supporting one another and allowing them time to mend any damaged relationships. Our goal is to promote kindness and inclusive practices so every girl on our campus and transitioning into middle school will feel accepted and will learn to grow their circle of friends to include other girls who may look or think differently than them. Teachers are working on completing progress reports for this final trimester, communicating areas of weakness to parents, and opening the door for conversations on ways to support students as we head towards the end of the school year to help them finish the year strong. In-person field trips are on the rise. Our first graders experienced the fun of taking a bus to a real-life trip to the zoo. Students, teachers, and parent chaperones enjoyed a day learning about their favorite animals as well as a picnic-style lunch on the zoo grounds. Second graders participated in 2 field trips, one to Vulcan Gravel Facility and another one to In-N-Out Burger. Both trips included tours of the facilities and opportunities to learn about how each business operates and contributes to our community. 4th graders participated in a trip to the Claremont Botanical Gardens, where they learned about different plants, focusing on dry-resistant vegetation commonly found in Southern California. More trips are planned later in the month and moving into May. Sellers students enjoyed a PTA-sponsored assembly with the Imagination Machine. Student-written stories were acted out by the performers, always a favorite assembly. Our TK class enjoyed an in-house field trip with the Happy Who's mobile petting zoo. They were able to pet goats, sheep, rabbits, chickens, and other animals. PTA sponsored a grandparents and special friends picnic time on Thursday early out. Families held a picnic on the front lawn together. Our 3rd through 5th grade classes will begin SBAC testing the last week of April and the beginning of May. Goddard Middle School's open house was March 22nd. It was a great success and well attended. Avid held their annual college fair in the school library. Many colleges were represented by Goddard students. The first annual Chessmate event was held on March 30th after school. Many of the students participated. Incoming 5th grade students were treated to a Western themed tour. They were shown many things that they can look forward to in the next year. ASB will be hosting a night dance. The theme is Back to the 80s. Track and field had their first track meet at Sandburg. CAST testing is underway. Goddard students will test for 4 days. Glendora High hosted a very successful prom at AV Irvine on April 15th. The venue, planning, and yes, the French fries were a huge success. Thank you to ASB and Mrs. Clune for setting up this wonderful event for our juniors and seniors. CASP testing is wrapping up with makeup testing. Thank you to all our juniors who showed up and tested well. AP students are busy doing final preparations for AP testing. This is a grueling 2-week schedule of exams. Our tartans have been prepared and are well ready to test. Best of luck. Spring sports are wrapping up and celebrating their seniors. We are looking forward to postseason play in most of these sports. Our choir, orchestra, and band groups are preparing for their end-of-the-year performances, and we can't wait to celebrate their talents. Seniors have 19 days left of actual classes, and graduation is exactly 1 month from today. Makes you nervous. Wickham's prom was held on the Friday before spring break, and it was a wonderful evening for all attendants. The leadership class did a great job of bringing this wonderful event to fruition. Our juniors took part in state testing last week, and now this week will be used to gather the students that missed some portion of the test and get them to take care of makeup tests. A representative from Mount SAC has been meeting with a select group of students to finish off the registration process. This does not mean that students have committed to Mount SAC, but if they do go in this direction, this part of registration will be taken care of already for those students. Mr. Love is currently working with the seniors on their final speeches. When this is completed, the teaching staff will read the top speeches that were selected by Mr. Love and Mr. Letourneau, and the selected students will be invited to share their speeches at graduation in May. Speaking of graduation, this exciting event will be held on May 23rd, 2023 at the Hugh Performing Arts Center at Citrus College beginning at 5 p.m. This will be the final hoorah for the senior class of Wickham High School. Thank you for having me.
I always look forward to the Whitcomb graduation. I look forward to both graduations, but Whitcomb is quite festive and loud, and I really appreciate it. Okay, next we're going to hear from members of the Board of Education. I'm going to mix it up, and I'm going to ask Mrs. Merkley to go first, please.
I am kind of ready. We got to attend a board workshop, was that 2 weeks ago? It was really good. It was a time for us to get to know each other a little better and to work on some governance issues. Along with that, I've been attending a Franklin Covey leadership. It's a virtual workshop for school boards. I've learned a lot about leadership and governance, and I'm excited about that. I have one more session. And the most important thing is school's out next month. I always loved that when I was a parent. I'm like, school's out, yes. And so now I'm a grandmother, and school's out, and we can do fun things. Oh, and my youngest daughter's husband is graduating from BYU with his Master's of Accountancy this week. I'm leaving Wednesday. So yay, because we don't have enough accountants in our family.
Okay, Mr. Lopez.
First of all, congratulations to all of our award winners tonight. Well deserved, and I'm sure, well, you guys do a great job every day. Congratulations to all of our schools. Are all of our open houses over? I believe they are, right? One more to go. But I know those are hard nights, and you have to prepare for those. It's rough on everybody that's involved, but you guys always do a phenomenal job, and our community loves coming to our schools and seeing the products that our students are putting out. So just have a great end of the school year, and go Glendora.
Mrs. Garcia?
Busy time at the end of the school year, but there's a few things that I want to bring up. First of all, congratulations to all the staff that were recognized for all your hard work. I know that most of our staff deserves that recognition, but I'm so happy to see you guys being recognized, and thank you for all that you do to keep our schools functioning. Thank you. I was lucky enough to sit in this morning at as a panelist for the AP research papers in Mrs. Reichstadt's class, and oh my gosh,
Yeah,
those are
smart
just. I didn't want to just smile the entire time because I didn't want to make them nervous, but wow, it's so impressive. If you have an opportunity to do that, I highly encourage you to do that, and I'm doing it again tomorrow. I'm really excited about that. These kids are doing big things, and it's great to see their projects come. They're just so eloquent, and so they know the material so well, and I mean, very impressive. Thursday is our community LCAP meeting. Very important meeting for our community. I don't know if this is something that anyone can come to.
The invites have gone out, and
They're
by
done?
site, all sites are represented. And so
Perfect.
we have that all set for Thursday evening.
Right, I'm excited to be a part of that. I also attended our DLAC for our meeting, and unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of parent participation. So I wanted to do a little PSA that for all of our parents that have students in our English language program, English learners, please come, please participate, talk to your principals and see how you can get involved. Your voice is needed and very, very important. So I encourage you to please get involved. They have translators there if you need them, and we're just looking for your perspective. So it's important that you participate. I want to wish luck to all of our kids. I know Goddard is testing tomorrow and Wednesday for the CASP, and very stressful time for our students and our teachers, and just as a whole district, this whole testing time can take a toll. So take a minute to relax and enjoy the day, and also our AP testing that's coming up. I know these kids are very, very stressed, so anything that we can do to support our high schoolers with this AP testing, maybe just, they don't have to unload the dishwasher this week, whatever it takes. Yeah, or maybe treat them to Chick-fil-A, I don't know, something. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Very busy, but also want to just take a moment to appreciate everyone sitting here and for all the work that you do, the way you collaborate with each other, the way we're improving this district is, I feel it, I see it, and I'm very grateful for all the work that everyone is doing here. So thank you.
Mr. Clifford.
Josh, what are you going to do when school's out? Who's going to update us? Come on, you're going to come in during the summer and give us
If
a
you
summer
want me
activity?
to, then I can.
What a blessing it is to be up here, especially this week. I concur with Board Member Merkley. The board workshop was absolutely enlightening for me to be able to meet and confer on leadership issues and attributes of leadership and what makes us tick with my peers up here, and I truly enjoyed that. I'm grateful for the classified employees that were here tonight, along with our certificated employees and people that were celebrating. I just love it because everybody had a big smile on their face and they were so enthusiastic. Maybe plants do that to you, I don't know. I want to think it's me, but I know it isn't. But my point is that it's so nice to celebrate these things because you're with our students all day long, and it's incredible. So thank you from the board. As you can tell, we really appreciated that. I attended a funeral on Sunday, and it was a celebration of life, but it was somebody really important, I think. Sylvia Shorey Barton. She was in her 87 years old, in her mid-80s, one of the pioneer families of Glendora, the Shoreys, and she passed away, but she was so instrumental in this school district. She taught thousands of students, classical piano, private lessons, her entire life, worked with so many families in this district. And when at the celebration of her life, it was so incredible. There were a bunch of students at the funeral, at the celebration. And it was just such a neat thing that because she was had such an impact on civic leadership for years when I was on the city council. She was part of that Daughters of the American Revolution, that beautiful house on Bennett over there that everybody admires. And she was smart enough not to call me. She would always call my wife to make sure that I had their tea in my schedule and that my wife would make some goodies for me to bring to that tea. But she really held us accountable as elected people in the community and held us accountable for the history. She had a lot to do with the Historical Society, the little museum downtown, and she was just a stickler for the city of Glendora, the historic part of this city, and she's going to be missed, that's for sure. But it was a great celebration of life, and when you adjourn this meeting tonight, I'd like you to think about Miss Sylvia Shorey Barton, if you wouldn't mind doing that, and the thousands of students that she helped educate with her love of classical music and the piano.
She was my youngest daughter's piano teacher.
See?
I just texted her. She's going to be devastated.
I'm just telling you. I mean, it was there were a lot of things happening on Sunday afternoon. That was one of them, and it was just it was so refreshing to see all the Glendorans that were there to help talk about that. So I thought it would be worthwhile for the audience to hear that. Maya, what a great speaker. I love listening to you, and I'm going to make a promise to you that I'm going to work as hard as I can to make sure that the high school has an actual track and field that you can run on when you get there. I think this board collectively, my heart, my kids got to use it. I mean, my daughter tried pole vaulting, and she She was on the team, but I said tried, it wasn't pretty, but she could get over. And, but I just want to work as hard as I can with my peers to make sure that you have that opportunity when you're in high school to actually be able to practice and people come watch you in that beautiful area that we have there to make it. So remember that and keep working hard. It's a great thing that you're doing, and you're very eloquent. So thank you for coming to speak to us tonight. That meant a lot to me. And I wanted to thank, we had an event on Thursday night, and the school district was there. The Education Foundation made a little money too, but I mean, I was very grateful to the Unified, yeah, thank you. That was so funny.
Oh, yeah.
That was hilarious, but I do want to, that was the best looking table in the whole place, I want to say, from far away. But I'm very thankful for all of the Unified School District executives and members that were there to support that. We had a great night, and I get to continue that for a little while, but only a little while, right?
Yes,
Yes,
only
I
a
can
little while.
tell.
Do you need a sash?
I do. I had one. Actually, Rose Wentz took her sash off and gave it to
There you
me
go. You can
for
wear
a
it
little
to the
while,
next
but
board
not anymore.
That's it.
But I will yield the rest of my time to the president, so thank you very much.
I will say congratulations again to Mr. Clifford. It was quite a celebration, and nice to hear from your family members and all the different fabrics of your life that weave together to make you who you are. Congratulations on that wonderful celebration. I did something super fun last week. I got to go, I am honored to be the Glendora Unified board member who represents our district on the ROP board for the San Gabriel Valley. And what we did last week is we took some tours of our neighboring districts and some of the programs that they have in those districts. And so I went to an unbelievable sports medicine program, equally impressive auto, a mechanic, a 5-bay garage. And then I went to an early childhood education program where they have partnered with a daycare in the area, and the students were walking over and participating in the daycare program over there for early childhood education. And it really makes me excited. I go to these events, or I go to these different programs, and I get very excited about the different opportunities for students to be able to find whatever their passion might be as it relates to education, for them to find a spark in something that's going to make them excited to be coming to school and figure out what's going to come next for them. And that might be a trade, that might be 2 years at one of our community colleges and some certifications, that might be moving on to 4-year colleges this way. But to offer programs that that find every single student in our school district is a real priority of mine. I'm very excited about discussion action item 6.6. So you all will stay tuned for that in a little while as it relates to this topic. But I really am looking forward to working with our district and our district leaders to create a strategic plan for our CTE pathways and what we want to do with our students, so that we are making a concerted effort, so that we're going somewhere specific. And so it's a real priority of mine. And as it relates to that, the Glendora Education Foundation is having their Food for Thought Gala this Friday evening at 6 p.m. There are a few tickets left, and the money that will be raised that evening will also be going towards one of our career pathways with Garner Holt and the animation studios. So if you are not already busy, I would recommend buying a ticket and having a nice evening. And that's all it is for me tonight, and I'll toss it over to Dr. DeGrazia and his superintendent report.
Thank you so much, President Reuter, members of the board, distinguished guests. A few comments tonight. Some of it's been mentioned, so I'll keep it brief. But we are in the final 5 weeks, as was mentioned. 4 weeks left, really, for seniors. And this is a reminder to finish well and finish strong. Testing season is upon us. State testing continues, variety of sites. AP testing happening starting soon, next week at Glendora High School. Whitcomb graduation, a special event, May 23rd, 5 o'clock, Citrus. Glendora High School graduation will be the very next day on the 24th at, I believe, 6 at Citrus Stadium. Performances, promotions, preparations for the coming year or next. LCAP we heard a little bit about as far as in terms of the survey and the information and our meeting that's coming up this week. We had a board workshop recently, which Mrs. Merkley mentioned. This district and this board is a model for learning. And they express that in this workshop, and they will express that in a workshop in July when we meet again. We look forward to the superintendent's second student advisory committee, which is happening this week on Wednesday in this very room, and Glendora Ed Foundation's signature fundraising event, of course, on Friday. Tickets still available, as was mentioned. State of the schools. I will be addressing the community, along with the Charter Oak Superintendent, Dr. Jordan, and Dr. Schultz, the Citrus College President and Superintendent, on Wednesday, May 3rd at Citrus. They're going to host, and that's going to be at 6:30 p.m. Congratulations again to all of our honorees, our award winners, and especially to our classified school employees of the year, employees that were recognized this evening. Thank you for what you do day in and day out. We recognize you today, but every day for what you do. Thank you so much.
Okay, moving right along to our staff presentations. We have one this evening, 5.1, Mental Health Support Plan, presented by Mr. Eric Osborne, Dr. Brian Murray, and Lucia Fernandez, please.
Good evening, and thank you again for giving us the opportunity to talk about a topic that's really important. I can't think of a topic that's more important than the mental health of our students, and so thank you for the opportunity. As mentioned, joining me and behind me is our Director of Special Education, Dr. Brian Murray. Thank you. Our Coordinator of Mental Health Services, Ms. Lucia Fernandez. And I'd also like to thank our cheering crowd over there. Individuals who work with our students every single day, from our counselors, OT, psychs, student support specialists. Thank you so much for being here in support of us, and most importantly, the support of our students. I think you know that mental health and student well-being is an absolute passion of mine, and I'd like to start with two quotes. Actually, they're not quotes, they're stats. I was working on a paper this weekend, late Saturday night, and I came across these nationwide statistics that shook me a little bit. Number one, 20% of all school-age children have some sort of mental health concern, yet only 1 out of 5 are receiving care. Number two, due to the emergence of the mental health needs, it takes on average 7 months to connect a child to mental health services. And so this evening, let's see if I could get my clicker to work here. Might need some help from Ms. Spino there it is. This evening, recognizing the needs of our students, our objectives are simple. It's to provide consistent mental health services to our students while remaining fiscally sound, to increase the number of students who have access to mental health support, and number three, provide consistency in practice across the district in terms of the referral process, what services offered, and when. Under our multi-tiered system of support, or we call MTSS, there's 3 tiered systems. Tier 1 is what we call universal supports. These are supports offered to all students, things that are mentioned on the board. These services help the majority of our students. We recognize that the majority of our students are doing really well. They might need to check in with a counselor or a student support specialist every once in a while. They might need to go to a wellness room for a check-in. They might even need a little bit higher level of support, but we recognize that the mass majority of our students are connected. They're connected with their peers at school. They're participating in all of the activities. They have friends. They have great, strong relationships with the staff, teachers, and classified alike. They're doing well because we know that our mental health research shows when we're connected with one another, we thrive. but we also recognize that many of our students need a higher level of care. And so under Tier 1, offered to all students, we're really excited to onboard a new program. This program is called Hazel Health, and Hazel is zero cost to our families and students. It is short-term, meaning 6 to maybe 12 sessions of therapy with a licensed MFT. This could happen at school or at home because it's tele-mental health. And so we are very excited to onboard Hazel Health. In fact, we are one of the first districts to sign up in the County of Los Angeles. We're in cohort 1, and we've been having weekly Friday meetings preparing for the launch of Hazel Health. We are actually ahead of schedule, and our goal for this project was to provide a soft launch, meaning to our staff to be trained, for us to understand our internal processes of how to refer students to Hazel Health, and to start onboarding a few students prior to summer. The reason for that is this service is offered throughout summer and throughout the school year. During summer, they've actually changed the hours so students could access mental health from 7 to 7 p.m. And then during the school year, it'll be from about 9 to 2 at our school sites, and then they extend into the evening if they want to do it at home. And so we're really excited and very thankful for the board's support of this program. We feel that this is a great addition to an already robust program to help at our Tier 1 level. And again, I just want to reiterate and thank those who are here and all those who are at home and those who couldn't be here. It really comes down with the power of relationships and the connections. Our staff is incredible at connecting with one another. And I appreciate what Mr. Clifford mentioned to the young student who's in the back, Maya Bell. It's clear that she's a leader, and it's clear that she's having an influence on the teams and the activities that she's involved in her school. And the same thing that we say about Maya could be said for many, many students at all of our sites. We have student leaders on campus who deeply care about their friends and their peers, and they should definitely be commended. And so right now, I'll turn it over to Miss Lucia Fernandez, who's going to talk about our Tier 2 systems of support. Tier 2 is targeted support, so it's more therapeutic in nature. And at that, I'll turn it over to Lucia.
Good evening. Under Tier 2, we offer group and individual counseling, which is provided by student support specialists. We also have various partnerships with counseling services such as DeVille and other partner agencies, including other universities such as Cal Baptist University and Cal State LA and APU. And then something new that we're planning on doing and hoping to do is to onboard 9 mental health interns who would hopefully help about 90 students, give and take. And those students might be the ones that might need higher level of support and more tailored level of support. Usually, we actually have an intern here, and those students usually receive more of the full services on campus where we give them an intern and they get to be able to speak with the administrator if they need to or the school counselor. The hope is that with that interns, if we do gain 9 of them, that they also provide wellness room supervision, because oftentimes we are definitely stretched to be able to be in the wellness. And now that the saying is out there about the wellness room, we are definitely getting more visitation, which is great. And definitely having more of a parental liaison, connecting families to outside mental health services for the community. I'll turn it over to Dr. Bryan.
Thank you. So Tier 3 are services that are provided to students with IEPs. They include DIS counseling, and DIS counseling is provided by student support specialists at the elementary sites and by contract counselors at the secondary sites. If students require more intensive support or more supportive intervention, we can provide educationally related mental health services. And these services can include individual and parent counseling that are provided by contracted clinicians. There's also a wraparound service that we can refer to, and wraparound services are services that are provided in the home where counselors and parent partners and case managers go into the home to help parents understand the student's difficulties and help the student work with the parents in terms of what they're dealing with. If a student requires more than just wraparound, more than individual counseling, we can also look at residential treatment for a student, which is 24-hour care at a residential facility. We do have a few students that are taking advantage of that particular service, so it is a service that's offered through Tier 3 and ERMS. And questions?
I'd like to close it out real quick. So if you don't mind, I'd like to just close this out by saying I'm really, really thankful for Dr. Murray and Ms. Fernandez. We've worked really closely this year looking at data. As you know, we track student data, all types of data under student services, and we recognize the need. And so each year, wanting to improve our services that we offer our students, we are looking at the data, we're looking at our finances, and we're really trying to use our money wisely to not only expand the services that we offer to our students, but equally important, make sure that they're consistent. And so I feel that our plan moving forward with the addition of our interns, as well as Hazel Health, and in addition to looking at some staffing needs, specifically at our secondary level, because we know that our secondary students, our middle school and high school students have some significant needs. I think our staff here would say that. So really looking at staffing as well is something we've taken into consideration as we brought this plan forward to you. And so we appreciate your time. I appreciate everybody being here tonight. And at this time, we'll answer any questions that you have for us. Thank you.
Eric, Brian, and Lucia, thank you so much. I mean, wellness and the ability for everybody to have an equitable place to go during the school day is important to me. And when I go to campuses, the first classroom I want to see is the wellness center, and it's a place of joy. What I'd like to do, I'm so impressed with what you said. I'm glad we're putting the resources in. I'd like to even put more in. But if you could indulge me for a minute, I would love for the people that work for you in this wellness industry that are here tonight to just come up and tell the audience what their name is, what location they work at, and you know what they do there. Just because I think it's important. It's important to me. I know it's important to Monica. If I see Monica at a campus, we're both going to the same room first, right? And I would just like to hear that, if you don't mind. I'm so happy you're here, and it would only take a minute, I think.
Yep. I think that's a great.
Doing that?
Not at all, and I think it's good. I think it's important that you see their faces.
I'm going to write down their names, and I want to know what I want to know that.
Everybody,
Because
come on
they're
up, please.
Obviously motivated to be here and listen to this. Just very quickly.
First up,
thank you.
Mrs. Jeannie.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Sherry Jeannie. I'm a school psychologist at La Fetra and Sandburg Middle School, and I've been here 17 or 18 years. And I work with the SSS at my schools, the special ed team.
Thank you.
And all the students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Loud and clear so the audience can hear you too.
Hi, I'm Brittany Wooldridge. I'm the Student Support Specialist at Glendora High School. Been in the district a very long time, and I love what I do.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathy Sally, and I'm a counselor at Glendora High School, alphabetic 9th through 12th grade. We do academic, mental health. We're on the forefront there. Have close to 400 students that I service. Wow. Been counseling about 25 years now. So love my job as well.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joy Dunn. I'm also one of the counselors at Glendora High School. This is my 8th year in the district. I did my first 3 years at Whitcomb High School, and this is my 5th year at Glendora High School. I also work with the end of the alphabet and have about 370 kids on my caseload. We work in the 3 domains of academic, social, emotional, and then college and career. So thank you very much for inviting us up. We appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kendra Schoenig. I am a marriage and family therapy intern with Lucia Fernandez. I am finishing up my master's degree at Cal Baptist. I was overjoyed to get to serve with Glendora Unified this year. I had lots of options, but I declined the others and waited on Glendora because I knew it was where I wanted to be. So I'm really thankful to serve here, service the community. I currently service 15 students as a trainee at Glendora High School, Sandburg, and Goddard Middle Schools. I love it. I've really enjoyed it. I love working with Lucia Lucia and Liliana Lynn, who are my supervisors. They provided great supervision for me, and I feel prepared to go out into the world. I'd love to stick around, but I feel prepared to go out into the world and be of service as a marriage and family therapist in the future, but I'd love to stay school-based. Particularly, I think I would like to advocate for the internship program because I know the impact it's had on me personally, and I know the impact that it has on the students. And so being able to reach our students is such a need, and it's also a blessing, and I've been able to witness those results. So I am totally on board to advocate for future interns that would take my place, and I think it would be a great investment to do so. So thank you for having us tonight. Appreciate it.
Now, Lucia, is this one of the 9 interns? Is this an example of one of the 9
Yes,
interns? Oh my gosh,
she
are you
is
kidding me?
amazing. We piloted a short version of Yes, this is a perfect example. We piloted a short version of it. It was my first year clinically supervising under my board license. I've always supervised under my school counselor credential, but this is more therapeutic in nature. So Kendra was a guinea pig, and she's been a great one. And luckily, we've had great results. So this is the perfect example, and it's been such a great experience for myself as her supervisor, and she's grown so much. There you go.
Well, Eric, thank you for allowing that to happen, at least for me, to be able to meet the people here that do that service. And anyone that's out there in the audience that couldn't make it, just send me an email, let me know your name and where you work, because I'd love to be able to put a name and a face to that in our organization. Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. And about the intern program, I really want to give recognition where it's due. This project is really a result of the woman behind me, Miss Fernandez. This year she piloted 3 interns. You saw an example. All of them are amazing. And so by seeing the impact that Lucia, Liliana, a few other people, the supervisors, and the impact of their work is a result of why we are expanding this, because we see great value in the work that they do. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for everything you guys do as a team, for you all for being here. Thank you, and for introducing yourselves. Thank you, Gary, for asking them to do that, because we do like to put, like, what do you do, and see you out in the community. At least now we know your name. Lucia, thank you. I met with you guys before to have this conversation about mental health, and I am very grateful for your passion and your commitment to the mental health of our students. And in growing the program, I appreciate everything that you do, all the research you do, all the just trying to understand what our students need in this community and trying to service them well. So I appreciate you bringing forth this plan. I think it's very important. I have a question about your Hazel Health, which is the telehealth, and you said there is no cost to our families, which I appreciate that. It is only telehealth, correct?
Correct. It is only telehealth, and it can be, like I mentioned, it could be at home or at school site.
Okay, and so once the student gets connected with a therapist, do they see the same therapist for the 6 to 12 sessions?
That's a great question. They do see the same therapist for the 6 to 12 sessions, and then if the therapist, and this is low level, okay? Low level anxiety, low level entry depression. If the therapist identifies that the student needs a higher level of care, that therapist then works with the Hazel Health coordinator as well as our coordinator at the school site then to connect them with other additional outside resources if they need a higher level of care.
That was my next question. So at what point do we decide, okay, this telehealth isn't working,
Right.
we need to in-person?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're constantly monitoring that. The other thing you should know as a board is once a student goes through the short terms, let's say they do 10 sessions, there are benchmarks, there's checkups. So the counselor will check in with the family, check in with the student up to 6 months afterwards, just to make sure that their mental health is being supported.
Now, what kind of support do we have for students that may not have mental health insurance, that they may not be part of their medical insurance, and now they need above the Hazel Health, now they need like in-person?
Okay, so Hazel Health will not take, they'll look at insurance, but any student
Right.
will take it. So
Right.
regardless if they have insurance or not, any student could participate in Hazel Health. We have outside contract services at school site. We also work with, and Lucy could probably speak better to it, or maybe Dr. Murray, We also will connect students through their insurance company, through Care Solace, to help connect. It's like a liaison. We're hoping that our interns could act as a parental liaison to work with our service providers, maybe service providers in their insurance network, to connect students that way as well.
So will we be keeping Care Solace?
Care Solace was something we were looking into. The usage rate has been not as high as we had hoped for this school year. So we're constantly tracking usage rate. I go back to that statistic that I shared, that it takes about 7 months right now on average to connect a student to a mental health provider. Hazel Health is within weeks, where while looking at the Care Solace dashboard, we're having concerns with being able to connect students to the right counselor or even a counselor. So that's something we are discussing.
Okay. Thank you again for this presentation. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Well done and much needed. And thank you to the counselors who are fighting the battle every day, right? Every day that you come to work, it's a different situation, and there's just those days where there's a number of kids that are struggling, as we see that in education. And this is absolutely needed. You did answer a couple of the questions that I had with the short-term sessions, with the 6 to 12 sessions. What happens when they're done with the follow-up with the family? That is absolutely necessary. Would they ever repeat? Would they ever bring them back? I know you, so we talked about it being low level. Would they ever repeat through that system again if it was low level? Or are they going to automatically, if they come back again, they have to go to the next tier? Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I unfortunately don't have an answer, but I could find out for you. We have weekly Friday meetings. It hasn't been brought up about repeating. I think the intent is for them to go through the program, and then if they bring up other concerns, we would connect a student maybe to another provider. But let me ask Hazel Health and see if we could do a repeat session if that's what's necessary.
Okay, and we talked about the student support specialists who are providing services on site, correct?
Correct.
And they are meeting, I believe it said in here that there's groups, correct? That they're provided by group and individual counseling provided by student support specialists.
Correct.
So is there a training that our student support specialists go through to be able to provide those services to our students?
So most of our student support specialists are licensed MFTs. Many of them hold the PPS credential. Lucia and I work with them monthly. We hold monthly meetings. Lucia could talk more about the training aspect and the counseling aspect.
Sure. We are definitely, any meeting that we have, we collaborate and we consult regarding what are some of the needs that are coming up as far as trends. And we work really hard to address those needs and provide trainings based off of like our community liaisons, which we just had one at our counselor articulation meeting that we had about a month ago.
Yeah, so sometimes there's cases that we just haven't seen before. And so we need to reach out to experts in the field, and so that's what Lucia was mentioning. We have relationships with professors of mental health, and so we contracted with one to come in and meet with our counselors, with our student support specialists, to talk about specific cases in a confidential way and how we could support those students, those families through some unique displays of behavior.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have. I just know at that low level, it's so important to reach the students, right? And to get them the help they need, and to just help them cope with what's happening in their lives and with their families. So it's super important. I just want to make sure that we have those supports. And I do appreciate everybody doing the research. I appreciate everybody on the front lines, not only our psychologists, but our SLPs and our occupational therapists also, who are working with our students on a regular basis with different behaviors. We're providing resources for all of our kids in different ways, and that is huge for mental health, is building that total system. So thank you.
And if I can just add really quickly, the school counselors are great at assessing students' needs and then going from, can we keep them on our caseload to do check-ins and then move them up through tiers, levels of support. So there's definitely a lot of consultation pieces between us. So that is definitely essential so that we can kind of see how we can support different students' needs.
Awesome, thank you.
Sorry, follow up. something that he said made me think of how are we, the need and the importance of that tier one. And how are we getting the message out to our students that this is here? And so I think there's a safety net in knowing that information. Like, should I need it, this is where I go, without them having to Google it first. So how are we, communicating that to our students?
Yeah, so there's various things we do. One of the, I'll just plug it in, one of the things that we're doing this week is a De-Stress Fest under NAMI, National Alliance Mental Illness Club, at Glendora High School. You guys are more than welcome to come. We're having it on Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. And that is a student-led club where we're talking about just like basic coping skills and how to take care of yourself. So we have students advocating for that on campus, putting flyers up, and that is where we discuss what kind of resources or supports. As soon as students find out that there's resources, they connect their students. We have Wellness Week. We have, oh, it's Wednesday? Oh, I'm so sorry. There's a lot of things going on this week, so it's Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. So, we try to get the word out, especially during Wellness Week, where we have, that's National Suicide Prevention Week, and be able to connect students to different services. All the counselors have information in their offices. We have a website. They push out information through their Remind. So we try to get as much, in the speaker system. I know as counselors, we have gone on the speaker system, which never, that's something that we're new and we're doing, so we are able to connect with the students of like, hey, this is what's going on this week. There's a plethora of like different themes, trying to get the word out there that these services are available. And we have seen a growth in students wanting to access, self-referring, and parents contacting us to refer as well.
I think the importance of normalizing the seeking for help and normalizing that conversation is so important. So thank you for making sure that the students are aware that the service is there and that there is no cost to them. I think that's so important because a lot of kids may be like, I don't want to be a burden in any way. So for them to know that it is something that is provided at no cost for them.
And definitely push-ins. So working with the health teachers, science teachers, doing presentation. I know Kendra did a few of those. That's where it's helpful to have an intern to be able to support with that and be able to put the information in the classroom so that it's more personal.
Right. I saw Mrs. Rickstad had a poster in her room for the NAMI and so I don't know if all teachers have that, but I saw it came to my attention, so that would be nice if
with QR codes and all of that, we hand them out to teachers during a couple of wellness weeks and whatnot. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I have some questions. I think it is awesome that there is no cost to our students. We don't want that to be a barrier for them not seeking help when they need it. Somebody is paying for Hazel Health. Who is paying for Hazel Health?
Right now, they have a contract with LACO, and so it's passed on to us at no cost to the district right now. We'll see what the future holds.
And do you have a guess? Have they promised us a year of that? Do you have any sort of a guess on that?
It's a 1-year contract, no cost to the district right now. They have not talked about what the future holds. So I think they've received significant grant funding through the Department of Mental Health to help provide this, and we are not the only district that is jumping on board with Hazel Health. There are many, many districts that are taking advantage of this. We are just one of the first ones to be able to implement it.
Thank you for paying such close attention and jumping on that quickly, because your statistic that you brought up early is extremely relevant in this case as far as how long it's taking people to get children and adults to be connected to a mental health professional. Is there a cap in the number of students that are able to access Hazel Health?
No cap.
Okay, great. Then I'm going to ask again, and some of these questions may get directed to my right as far as the financial circumstances are concerned, so don't be nervous. Onboarding those 9 mental health interns, boy, you did a great job bringing a prime example of what that program is going to look like. Are those interns, are they paid interns?
We're going to offer them an honorarium of $5,000.
Okay, and where's that money coming from?
That is coming from some specific funds that we have within special education. Dr. Murray, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think most of the funding for that is going to come from mental health.
Okay.
We get 2 or 3 funds that are mental health focused, a couple from the state and then one from federal government that we can use for those services.
Are those ongoing dollars, or is that something that we've got special because of COVID?
No,
Are there any?
Those are ongoing dollars.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Great. So what I really am excited to do is have you guys come back next year at the same time. Tell us how this internship program has worked out and tell us what your needs are subsequently after that. Because I think it's a brilliant program that works both ways, but we really do want to hear how things are going as it moves along and then reevaluate and make changes, which you all are clearly doing, by the way. I know that this is a new plan, but my concern is, and I'll sort of direct this way, is that as we figure out what is working for us, that we are carving dollars out to make sure that we can continue those programs. I asked I think I asked every school presentation student support specialist who came to talk to us over the last couple of meetings that we had, how many students they were servicing at any one time. And I'm going to say the average was 75, right? Which feels really high to me. And we had talked about this, about what the need really looks like. And I don't want to make everybody in this room nervous and commit to things that put them on the spot this way, but we have talked about there is sort of 1.5 that are servicing the 2 middle schools, student support specialists.
So the situation in the middle school is pretty unique. There's one student support specialist that services both of them, but we also are including our site-based counselors. And so it's a different number of FTE full-time employees. So each of the schools balance out to, I believe it's 2.8 FTEs.
Okay.
So just over 2.5 full-time employees.
Okay. I think that there is probably a need for, and I'd like to understand if we could have one student support specialist at each middle school, please. And then I'd also like, it feels like the mental health interns probably do come down to the middle school, but they will be spending most of their time at the high school?
We're going to distribute them equally, and so some of them will even be working with our elementary students.
Okay, then I would really like to hear again, as far as the assessment is concerned, about what kind of numbers we might really need at the secondary that way. I believe we probably need more across the board, but if we have one at each of the elementary schools, okay, great. One at each of the middle schools, okay, great. Probably need to have more at the high school because of the population up there. So I really, like I said, I don't want to make anybody nervous this way, but this is a priority. I think we've all talked about how our students aren't going to do well in their academics if their mental health isn't in place. So it is a resource, it is a priority that I think we need to be carving out money for. And I believe that we have been doing it. I believe we have been doing a good job, but I also believe that that we need and we deserve more. So I look forward to any updates, and if there are things that you didn't say today, don't be nervous, that you think that we should know, if there's anything else, because we don't know if you don't tell us. And we really do. I think this board has proven that we are big supporters of our mental health and our mental health professionals and counselors, that we really do need to know if you need more resources that way.
I appreciate that. On behalf of our team and the staff here, and most importantly, our students and our families at home, we feel your support, and it is greatly appreciated. As an executive cabinet, we are talking about staffing specifically at the secondary level and what that looks like. We recognize the needs of our middle school and high school students. And so we will certainly be back a year from now with an update. Hopefully it's a really great update, and hopefully our kids are being supported, our families are feeling that relief, and our staff are feeling a little bit of relief as well. And so we will move forward with this plan with your blessing. So thank you so much.
I do want to also say thank you so much for standardizing all the processes across the sites. I think that is imperative for our employees to be able to figure out what is going on where and what to do next. Yeah. And really is going to help our students and their families as well. So I know it takes a lot of effort to build a plan like this and decide how to move forward, but it is really important, and I don't think that there's anything more important than standardized processes across sites and schools. So thank you all very much. We can see your hard work. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Anybody have any follow-up questions? All right, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Moving right along, sorry, I was covering up my microphone. We're moving into our discussion action items. Our first discussion action item is item 6.1 to approve, ratify the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Grant as presented. And I believe that we are going to be hearing from Mrs. Prince first? Dr. Prince first.
Yes,
Okay, great.
And my trusty team.
Great.
We're going to be tag teaming. I am significantly shorter than Mr. Osborne. Let me just fix that. Oh, sorry.
Procedurally, I need a motion for this discussion action item, please.
So moved.
Thank you. Moved by Mrs. Merkley, seconded by Mrs. Garcia. Now open for conversation.
All right, so I'll start by introducing my team. Myself, we have Dr. Sarah Najarro, the Director of Special Projects, which we fondly joke in Ed Services. Everything is a special project. And the Executive Director of Fiscal Services, Mrs. Jeanette Walzak. And I will start by passing it over to, I believe, Mrs. Walzak's first.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Dr. Prince. Good evening, esteemed board members. So what is this grant? The Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Block Grant. It's non-competitive. We have 5 expenditure areas that we have to spend the money on, and Dr. Najarro will be talking about that. So we have to present a plan that the board members were looking forward for your approval. And we have until June 30th, 2026 to spend this allocation. So currently our allocation is $4,132,982 so far. We have received $2,066,491. However, because of the passing of Prop 98, we are expecting this allocation to decrease by about 1/3, and we won't find that out until the May revise. So come May, and once we do the budget presentation, we'll have a more precise number of what this allocation is going to be. And then again, like I mentioned, this is non-competitive. All the school districts in California received this allocation, and the allocation is based on ADA. And now I'd like to pass it on to Dr. Najarro.
We apologize for the technical difficulties. If the text doesn't show up, just refer to your handouts.
Yeah. Oh, that one looks good. Okay. So these are the 5 overarching areas that the AMIM, Arts, Music, Instructional Materials Grant, otherwise known as AMIM, can support. So you'll see there are 5 different areas. This is standards aligns, professional development, and instructional materials, and I'll go into each one of these in a moment. We have diverse and culturally relevant books. We have instructional materials to focus on improving climate and culture, and even some operational costs and COVID-19 related materials that we might need. Now, in this grant, these are all pieces of a puzzle, hence that puzzle piece. The plan does not require that we have to distribute the funds evenly through these 5 areas. We can distribute those based on our district's needs. And so we are looking at planning and prioritizing arts and music and instructional materials that relate to direct instruction. So on our next slide, you'll see, I don't know, it's all a little bit bluey, but oh well. So this is some of the area of the puzzle piece, instructional materials. And as you can see, it's a very broad grant, meaning that you can really spend it on a variety of areas. If you look at that, that's pretty much all of the instructional areas that we cover. We have world languages, math, ELA, early literacy, media literacy, history, ethnic studies, and of course, visual and performing arts, hence the name. So this could be materials or professional development in relation to any of these areas. The next slide talks about what you can, areas you can do for improving school culture. This might be training on de-escalation. This might be implementing restorative practices, looking at social emotional learning, learning through play, which focuses, of course, on our TK curriculum, and even in the areas of PD, because all of that impacts school climate and culture. So anything to build that. The next piece of that puzzle talks about diverse, culturally relevant, and multilingual libraries. So this is really looking at purchasing items that are classroom and site libraries, so adding books and book collections, putting books in there in students' home languages. There was a period of time where those things came out of the libraries. This is really supporting bringing them back into our libraries to support and honor all different cultures and languages when we're reading. And of course, a variety of books to support independent reading. And then there's also the puzzles, which are pieces which are operational costs. This may be for health and welfare benefits, anything related to facilities, and of course, costs related to keeping us safe and healthy. So anything necessary for that. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Prince, who will share our proposed plan for the AMIM.
Thank you. So you heard the recommendations and guidelines from the CDE, and now we're moving into here's what GUSD wants to focus on, our plan of focus. So when you look at that first area, the standards-aligned professional development and instructional materials, some of our priorities, supporting the science adoption materials and professional development. We are just finishing up our science adoption with all grade levels, and really looking at supporting that implementation and the understanding of NGSS, the next generation science standards for next year. Our math professional development materials, resources, and support. Looking at arts curriculum, intervention curriculum for reading, language arts, math. Our ethnic studies curriculum that we are working on, so looking at whether it's purchasing curriculum, training for instruction, professional development for understanding on that, as well as supplemental writing curriculum and instructional support, especially for our elementary. Looking at the second one, instructional materials and professional development aligned to best practices for improving school climate. A lot of that is learning through play. With TK, learning through play provides engaging experience that builds the foundational brain development and 21st century skills for them to move on to kindergarten. So looking at what we really need instructionally for our TK teachers to provide that experience. Culture and climate. So for example, our May 4th professional development is Character Strong for TK through 8, and that provides both Tier 1 and Tier 2 resources for social emotional learning and supports. De-escalation strategies, restorative practices, and SEL curriculum and training. And then when we're looking at developing those diverse book collections for our libraries, we really want to provide not only various languages, so having books in Spanish, Mandarin, Arabic, but also having culturally relevant texts so that our students go into the library and they can check out books that reflect their lives and their situations. So having a vast collection of those. Looking at programs to enhance family literacy as well. An example of that might be the Latino Literacy Project. And when you do that, you have family literacy nights, and they also provide collections for your elementary libraries that go with that. And supporting dual language and language enrichment programs. So we've been looking into that, working very closely with Dr. Najarro, Mrs. Kang, and looking at we can provide we're going to start with some after-school enrichment opportunities next year as we build our program for dual language, but supporting that through the AMIM. And then finally for that fourth one, our operational costs, including but not limited to retirement, healthcare costs, potential staff to support many of our educational programs as we're looking at dual language, visual and performing arts, our AVID program, GATE programs, so looking where we could use support for those programs, and then possible support for health and welfare benefits. So we actually also wanted to do a brief overview of Prop 28. It is not part of the plan you are approving. We will not have the money until probably a year from now, but we wanted to make sure to differentiate on why we're categorizing certain things for our arts, music, and instructional materials, because Prop 28, when that comes out, provides funding for particular things, and I won't steal Mrs. Walczak's thunder since she's going to come and talk about it, but our first allotment will not be until next spring or summer. And it very much cannot supplant current spending. So we have to be very careful what we put in our AMIM plan, because if we put it in and that's limited time funding, and then we have Prop 28 and think, okay, we'll just take over funding, you can't do that. So Mrs. Walzak will talk more about that part.
Thank you, Dr. Prince. So currently, GUSD's allocation is $992,000. The program requires that we spend 80% of the funds on new staff. So if we, like Dr. Prince mentioned earlier, we can't pay for something out of our AMIM grant and then move them over to the Prop 28. We can't do that. So all of the staffing basically you have to hire new staff and then you cannot supplant. So that's why it's really important to know that we can't just use the AMI and then switch them over to the Prop 28 money. And then that's part of the reason too why the AMIM was decreased. It's because of the passage of Prop 28. So basically they're doing, kind of reallocating some of the funds that were originally for AMIM and then moving that into the Prop 28. But for Prop 28, it's not just a one-time, like a grant where AMIM, you have until June 30, 2026, and it ends. Currently, from what I'm hearing, this one is permanently, and it's going to be part of our LCFF funding, where a portion of our LCFF, part of it will be the funding for the Prop 28. And then for this arts education program, there's instruction, training, materials in all areas such as music, dance, theater, animation, and visual arts. Dr. Nahara?
Okay. So interestingly enough, I was just at a Prop 28 boot camp today for 2 hours with LACO, looking at ways to start planning for implementation of Prop 28. So one of the key things is really making sure you know and examine your existing programs, because as we said, it has to supplement, not supplant. And 80% is on staffing. So the intent of Prop 28, which is in addition to our, an additional funding, is to make sure that we are adding to our programs. It's not just reallocating funds that we have. So I know this chart is really small, but thanks to Danny Kent and Ria Kabuto, we put this together and it really outlines what we have currently. So it talks from elementary, middle, through the high school, and it talks about all the different visual and performing arts programs that we have. It talks about what sites they're at, obviously, and about how many students we're servicing and about how much staffing we have. So that was actually one of the first things we did at the boot camp today, was examine this, because what you need to do, of course, is to see what you have to start making plans or ideas of what you want to service in the future. So one of the things that you'll notice is we actually have we have a visual and performing arts strategic plan in place already. So when we start to look at Prop 28, that's the first place we're going to go and look at that strategic plan. But you'll see we have a lot of course, we can enhance that. We can add sections. We can maybe decrease size by adding sections, those things. But if you go from the bottom up, you'll see that our middle schools have some, but then at our elementary schools, we're very limited in our visual and performing arts programs. And if we want to continue to build and continue to support and have those robust programs at the high school, we're going to have to work from the bottom up. So once we start working in committees to plan for what we can do for Prop 28, which really we wouldn't see in effect till the 24-25 school year. We don't want to hire or do any changes with staffing this current school year because we want to wait for that money to come in. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to use the Prop 28 money for it. So we wanted to start with this because at the end, yearly, once we start using Prop 28 money, that is exactly what they ask us for accounting purposes. It's what is your program, how many students are you serving, and how many staff do you have? So this chart is really going to be the basis for everything we do in the future with Prop 28. So what are our next steps? So we want to start looking at ideas and gathering input from our different levels of what we want to go to, what we might want to add. That's one of the things that Rhea and I did today in the boot camp, is to start brainstorming some of those ideas. We started talking about elementary art teachers, possibly some elementary movement through dance, really looking at adding some classified staff, so to decrease the ratio in those big sections. If we want to support our robust music program, and we started elementary, moved to middle, those sections are really big and we can't get that individualized attention. So maybe not necessarily adding certificated teachers, but bringing that class size down that way. And these, of course, are just brainstormed ideas. Looking at a VAPA coordinator to help do all this. If we're going to enhance these programs, we need support in leading that, and really looking at targeted professional development. So we will be consulting with our VAPA committee, our music staff, and then starting to starting to talk about a plan so that we can be ready for implementation in the future. So, thank you. Any questions for us on either Prop 28, or what we really need is that approval of AMIM? More importantly.
Okay, with Props 28, I'm looking at elementary art teachers and elementary movement. How will you integrate that? Is that after school, or will that be during band?
No, that would be during the day. So for example, we have one really amazing PE teacher that goes to all of the elementaries, and he is a trooper, Robert Clark. But when you're talking about those physical education minutes, you can be also doing PE with movement through dance. And what an amazing opportunity to also bring in various cultural dances. And we got the amazing opportunity to see a lot of those when we went to the CAVE conference, and seeing the students engage with that and the joy. And most people know I'm a very firm believer in arts education, in diverse experiences. I happen to have a child who we fought endlessly. Sorry, Cole, for outing you publicly. Fought endlessly all the way through 7th grade because he was in math intervention the whole time. Finally, he talked me into it, and for 8th grade, I took him out and put him in art as he wanted, and not only did his math scores rise because of the motivation, but we never had to fight about getting him in the car to go to school again. Every student needs a reason to want to come to school every day, and for some, art is it, for some PE, for some ASB. So I want to provide those different opportunities so every child wants to come to school every day.
So how would you integrate art? I mean, I can see with the dance and things.
Yeah.
But art, how would you do that?
So art, a few of our elementaries currently have art that's being taught in the classroom, and they rove, and it's sponsored by PTA, but that's not at all of our elementaries. And I want that opportunity available to all of our students. So it's bringing in roving art teachers who could cycle through, and whether you're looking at like a master artist that you look at during particular times, or you're looking at cultural artists, really bringing that into every one of our elementary sites.
Okay, great. I remember Lothi's many years ago in elementary school in Dallas, that we had an art teacher that we went, and we had a music teacher too. That
Kind of
we
like
learned
specials, we call them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. So if we could get that for our kids, I would love that. Second. And now I understand, because I was looking at the things you're doing next year, and I didn't see a lot of the art. It was like third of the list under art, music. And I was a little concerned, but now I understand about the ongoing Prop 28.
We were strategic with adding Prop 28 into our AMIM presentation.
Yeah, I get that. Thank you. Because I was concerned. I was like, and of course, I have to dual language. That has been one of my things since I got on the board, and I'm excited that we are getting closer and closer. I'm hoping that in a year we'll be finalizing, we'll be ready to go in the following year, and hopefully that my grandson, who will be in 1st grade then, can get into it. And I love learning through play. I just think that is so important. What a great way. I was really sad when they took the kitchens out of kindergarten, because there's so much. My degree's in home ec, and I did my master's thesis on teaching basic math skills in a food and nutrition classroom. So They took that out of kindergarten, lost a lot. Anyway, thank you. Thanks for all this work, I appreciate it.
That was a lot to take in, you know, that was a lot to take in. You guys, so you guys are, you're crazy about this, and I'm in a good way, I'm happy about it. I just wanna make this comment. I was one of those kids growing up that thought art had no place in education, and I was worried about PE and running and jumping, doing all the things. And then I took a class called Humanities Through the Arts, right? It was about culture and value, didn't even understand humanities much, but it was, you had to go visit art museums and you had to understand culture and tradition through the arts. And it absolutely changed my educational experience where, you know, I was trying to recruit people. Have you ever been to the Norton Simon Museum? Have you ever been to Huntington Library? Because I would have never gone to those places unless I was introduced to those. So I'm really focused on that arts education through the humanities where a child might not understand. I'm not artistic, but I can understand a culture or a value through the arts. Does that make sense? Which is something that's different than painting something. And I think that that is that part of what you said, and also putting down an electronic device and actually going outside and doing one of those physical activities and in this kind of a program, I think would just be outstanding. So I'm looking forward to not only the $4 million minus a little bit, how we're going to initiate the earlier classes in the Prop 28 programs. I'm really looking forward to you presenting that in the future. So thank you. Humanities Through the Arts, though. Remember that one.
Thank you for this presentation. I appreciate you just breaking down the areas and how the money's going to be spent. I have a question, if you can maybe, I don't know if you have the information, and feel free to email me later. Can you tell me more about what this, on the number 2 here, you mentioned de-escalation strategies, restorative practices, and SEL curriculum and training. What do those 3 things look like? Because the other 2 you gave us an example, like Character Strong. But these 3, like, what does that look like? And is it just a training for teachers and staff, or is it something that is being incorporated in the classroom?
Yeah, some of those, I'll give an example of what we did at both of the middle schools a few years ago. We had worked with one of our behaviorists, Kathy Holloman, and she had come in and talked about looking for triggers, looking for antecedents, and then when you have a student who's escalated, what do you do as a staff member to de-escalate? Some examples of those might be you model the tone and volume that you want to see from them. So if you stay calm, they're more likely to stay calm. But although a lot of times our behaviorists work specifically with our special education program, we can sometimes bring them in as consultants with our general education populations, and we often offer those as sessions on our PD days that people can choose, as well as sometimes at specific school sites.
So I would think that something like that, like a de-escalation strategy and the restorative practices, would be something that all staff and teachers should be aware of and knowing of, right? So if it's just an option in your PD day, how do you ensure that everyone is aware of these practices and that everyone's coming from the same, dealing with our students in the same way? Because you don't know who's going to need to de-escalate, who's going to need to deal with this issue. And if they don't choose that PD, hour, or how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so that was why Mr. Osborne and I had chosen as site principals a few years ago to offer that to all of our staff members. Dr. Murray and I are also talking about looking at our professional development plan for 24-25 and looking at a lot more training on supporting students in mainstream classrooms, so inclusion and things like that, and this will be part of the discussion, and luckily now we have more money to support that discussion.
And would this funding allow for us to pay our teachers for additional, and I know this has to go through union and all that stuff, for additional professional development days? Because I know they're limited, and there's so much that we're trying to push at our teachers, like, well, you need to learn this, you need to learn that, you need to know this, but not enough days for them to learn this. So can this money be used to pay them for these additional professional development days?
I am going to defer to Mrs. Walzak on what the overall cost of those days would be. I don't know overall what our PD days would cost, to know if that would be something that would take, 25% of the budget, or what it would be. And she may not know right off the top of her head either.
I don't know off the top of my head. So if we're talking about right now, we have 184 contract days. So if we're talking about providing an additional professional development day, so then we would have to increase everybody's contract by a day or two, depending how many. Correct, Dr.
So then we're out of budget money.
Right. So money-wise, we would have to basically figure that out, but this funding will allow for things like that. But we also have the educator effectiveness block grant, which definitely allows for us to spend it on professional development.
Okay, thank you.
So along those same lines, as you were talking about with so we can do the PD, but that money will cover substitutes. So if you do release days for teachers, you don't have to add any extra days. It's not as cost effective. So you can use your EEBG or you can use this grant, either one of those. So, yeah, I think it's awesome. So you talked about being collaborative with the Prop 28. You've been talking to the sites and seeing how that works at different sites. Same thing with AMIM?
Yes.
Being collaborative with everything that we do and making sure that everybody gets not what they want, but has an idea of what they can do on their campuses. And I knew that. I just want to make sure that I asked that question of you guys. So when we talk about diversity, we talk about books in students' home language and combination of languages. What does that look like? Like, how do we go about finding out what books to put on the shelves for our kids to read? And,
Good
what does it look
question.
like? So-
We look at our demographics. We work with our amazing librarians at each of the school sites, and we talk to our students.
Perfect.
So looking at those, and one of my favorites that I've seen is there are books, especially as you're beginning to explore dual language, where when you open it, one side is written in English and one side is written in Spanish or Mandarin, or so they're able to access in both language and have that exposure. But it's working with our librarians, our sites, and our students.
Okay,
And
perfect.
I've also been exploring digital texts that
Okay, good.
do that as well, and digital programs that immerse in different languages through literature. So
Okay.
that's been an ongoing special project of mine.
Awesome. It's just,
They're all special projects.
and I know there's just a lot of money, and so you want to make sure that we get the right resources in place for our students, right? The other thing too, being as a diverse community as we are, and as we continue to change and evolve, is there something we can do culturally for our schools and celebrating those cultures and having different events and things like that? Just a thought I've had, to celebrate so students know about each other, right? It comes back to that name, face story under the MTSS umbrella. It's like having our students experience what the other cultures are about. So, and how many people went to Kabe?
2.
Just 2?
Yes, and as we actually, it was great because we were small but mighty, we got to join in with a lot of other districts who had more folks, and they invited us to their events. But since we'd never been, we hadn't really experienced who should go. And then we had a lot of conversations during that process, both between us as well as with different districts that we were collaborating with, on the benefit of, we had said next year we want to bring teachers with us.
Absolutely.
And there's opportunities for parents to go, who are your DLAC parents, for board members to be able to go. And so we really, we're excited about the potential of next year.
Okay, good. No, thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you for this thorough presentation and for helping us understand the difference between the AMIM and Prop 28. I'm not going to ask any more questions right now. I am very excited about all of this and look forward to the plan as it develops. Hopefully, our legislators, when I met with our representatives during Legislative Action Week, I really talked to them about not decreasing by that 30% that they're threatening that they're going to do, and really felt like I had some good conversations and good support that way. We'll see how it shakes out. All those in favor of approving or ratifying the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Grant as presented, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Wonderful
Thank you.
job, ladies. Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay. We're going to move on to number 6.2, approve, ratify the memorandum of understanding, non-credit education agreement between Citrus College and Glendora Unified School District is presented. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Prince, are you going to talk about this MOU, or is this?
We can jointly do that, not a
Okay.
problem. President Reuter and members of the board, we bring this forward for our second year of a MOU with Citrus College specific to summer school. They are supporting core classes in the areas of English and language arts and social sciences to support and fund, really, our summer school offerings in that area at Glendora High School. We are very appreciative of their partnership and their ongoing support, and we thank Citrus College.
Any other questions about this one?
Just, is it on our campus?
Yes.
Our teachers on our campus.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I'm going to move on now to I want to make sure I've got the right one at the right time. Item number 6.3, recommend the Board of Education adopt resolution number 22-23-13, recognizing May 7th through 13th, 2023 as California Teacher Appreciation Week and May 10th, 2023 as California Day of the Teacher. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Do I approve it and then read it? Yes. Approve it. Okay, is everybody ready? Whereas the Glendora Unified School District Board of Education recognizes that Glendora USD teachers are leaders when it comes to their contributions to innovative school improvement. And whereas the Board of Education appreciates teachers' innovation and creativity, and whereas the Board of Education recognizes the tireless dedication of our teachers who give their time far beyond the school day to prepare outstanding lessons, collaborate with colleagues, assess student work, provide feedback to our students, and provide our students with encouragement, support, and care they need to thrive. And whereas the Board of Education recognizes that our teachers have helped to produce the thinkers, scientists, artists, inventors, technicians, and engineers who have led our state to become one of the largest economies in the world. And whereas the Board of Education admires our teachers who are continuous learners and add to their own education by completing advanced degrees, coursework, and professional development throughout their careers. And whereas the Board of Education appreciates our teachers who strive to create a learning community that facilitates each student's academic and social emotional growth. And whereas the theme of the Day of the Teacher, California Educators, planting seeds, inspiring students, and future educators. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Glendora Unified School District hereby recognizes May 8th through 12th, 2023 as Teacher Appreciation Week and honors the contributions of their certificated employees and proclaims May 10th, 2023 to be the California Day of the Teacher. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? This resolution passes unanimously. Oh, okay, we have, thank you, Mrs. Garcia. The agenda dates for that celebration and the resolution dates are off by one day. Okay, thank you very much. That unanimously passes. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next item, 6.3, recommend the Board of Education adopt resolution number, thank you, 6.4, number 22-23-14, declaring the week of May 21st through 27th, 2023 as Classified School Employee Week. May I have a motion?
So moved.
The third full week of May, 21st through the 27th, has been designated as Classified School Employee Week in California by the California School Employees Association and the California State Legislature. Whereas classified professionals provide valuable services to the schools and students of the Glendora Unified School District. And whereas classified employees contribute to the establishment and promotion of a positive instructional environment. And whereas classified employees serve a vital role in providing for the welfare and safety of Glendora Unified School District students. And whereas classified employees of the Glendora Unified School District strive for excellence in all areas relative to the educational community. Therefore, be it resolved that the Glendora Unified School District hereby recognizes and wishes to honor the contribution of the classified professionals to quality education in the state of California and in the Glendora Unified School District, and declares the week of May 21st through 27th, 2023 as Classified School Employee Week in the Glendora Unified School District. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 6.5. Recommend the Board of Education adopt resolution number 22-23-15, declaring May 7th through 13th, 2023 as School Health Services Week and May 10th, 2023 as National School Nurse Day. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Whereas the education of today's children and youth extend beyond the classroom environment to prepare them for a healthy future, and whereas we entrust to school nurses and school health clerks with the responsibility to provide our students with the guidance to develop awareness and understanding of good health practices required to reach their highest personal potential, and whereas school nurses and health clerks are dedicated to serve their students, their schools, and the community through commitment of service, and whereas school nurses and health clerks deserve recognition for their many contributions to the education and well-being of the children and youth of this district and community, and whereas the many and ongoing contributions of school nurses and health clerks should be recognized and celebrated. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education establish May 8th through 12th, 2023 as School Health Services Appreciation Week and May 10th, 2023 as National School Nurse Day. And all citizens are urged to participate in observances that express their appreciation for school nurses and health clerks. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item number 6.6. Recommend the Board of Education adopt resolution number 22-23-26, declaring a sole source procurement method with Red Bird Flight Simulations Incorporated and improve the purchase of Red Bird equipment and software as part of the district aviation program as presented. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Vicar.
Well, I'm excited this evening to present before you our aviation lab model, which is through Redbird. Redbird is actually nationally approved, the Federal Aviation Administration. They offer flight simulators that meet the standards through the Federal Aviation Administration. This will allow our students to be able to sit for ground school compliance with a certified teacher. We are currently flying that position for a teacher. The sole sourcing is an interesting process because normally we go out for a competitive bid, but because sometimes some pieces cannot competitively be bid, we have a process that we actually have to vet to ensure that it really is a sole source process. And we even had our legal attorney from Parker Covert go back through the standards to make sure that this actually met the compliance for that. This equipment will actually all work in tandem together, so having another piece of proprietary equipment would require it maybe not to be able to talk to the various systems and actually could create some instability both for the teacher as well as for the students to be able to manipulate multiple kinds of software. So with that, we are asking you for sole source approval for the purchase of the Redbirds.
Does anybody have any questions?
I just want to thank Mrs. Vicar for bringing this to the district. I think it is going to be such a wonderful addition. So thank you for your work on this.
I actually really need to thank my entire team for helping me pull this all together because this is a big process to be able to do the bid process this way. So it took an entire team from my business services to make it happen.
I have a question. This is not an inexpensive purchase to make. Can you help me understand where the funds are coming from?
Yes, you may recall at the beginning of the year when we adopted the budget, we had funding set aside for career technical education labs. We specifically earmarked that out. And in addition to that, we have $177,000 that's being contributed by the ROP through the California CTEIG, the California Technical Education Incentive Grant. And these funds have been earmarked for that purpose and was approved during the grant process to actually allocate funding for for aviation equipment. Not necessarily Redbird, but for aviation equipment.
And is this class going to be available at Glendora High School in the fall?
Yes, ma'am, it will. We anticipate that because these pieces are all customized, that we will be taking delivery before the end of August on all the equipment. So the students will actually be starting off learning more about the aviation history when they first get started.
Okay.
And also on some of the safety practices that will need to be followed, and then the lab will come.
Okay. And this is a 2-year program?
This is done as being a 300-hour program. It could be done in multiple kinds of ways, but in this case, it's going to be set as being a 2-year model where students will be able to complete their CTE program in that time frame.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions?
So I have a question. Once they complete their 300 hours, do they then need to sit for some type of test before, like, to have?
Yeah, so yes, the answer is yes to that. So students will be logging hours for their flight time for ground school. They will have to pass a number of standardized tests that's approved through the Federal Aviation, which is signed off by their teacher, before they would even be allowed to get in a plane and actually fly. And so this is the initial step that happens. It's not, if you were to do it privately, it's expensive. So our students are given the opportunity early to be able to learn about this. Students will also be given the opportunity to be able to work with many professionals in the field to be able to learn about not only being a pilot, but the many aviation careers that are available out there. The aviation field has a aging community that is aging out, and very quickly they need to be able to replace those. These are very lucrative positions that are out there that will allow students to be able to really, have a family and have a quality of life that will enable them to have a long-time career in the aviation area. And that could be, air traffic control. It could be working with other parts of the flight standards that come with it. It could be working as a mechanic. The ability to understand the background and understanding even just the basics for the flight school that they would be learning will give them that ability to be able to understand all those different areas. This is part of the curriculum.
Thank you, and thank you for your leadership in this, for doing all that work and bringing this program to Glendora Unified. I think it's going to be a great program, and our students will really benefit from it. Where is this lab going to be?
The labs will be located at Glendora High School. We've actually identified 2 rooms. Some of the equipment is quite large. Matter of fact, it's going to take up a good chunk of one room for just the very large pieces of equipment. There's actually going to be a motion piece that students will actually get in. It's an actual flight simulator, and the thing will actually move as the student is flying the plane. They could actually crash we hope that they don't. We're going to try to get them some practice time on other elements so they're not crashing, because there is a calibration that has to happen when that does occur. But they will be learning all those different elements along with their, through their teacher, and to be able to practice on other machinery first before they graduate up to that level.
So is everything going to be in one room, or is it going to be like the class and then the lab?
So there's actually 2 labs. There's going to be what I would call kind of like your basic monitor with your, I'm probably going to need some help here from an expert that pilots, for the steering wheel.
The yoke.
The yoke. They'll have pedals and rudders that they'll be working with.
They'll have the whole front glass cockpit. They'll have a yoke, and they'll have rudders, and they'll have all of the instruments that a regular airplane has.
Correct.
They'll be able to, it'll almost be like playing an airplane video game, except for you won't feel that motion until you get in the simulator. But the best part of this is that if they complete the program, they should be able to go past the ground school test with no issue, and then just go right to the flight test, which you have to do. I think my recollection is it's 40 hours of flight. So you'll get the ground school done, take the ground school test, and then once you get that little certificate, then you take a radio certification with the FAA, and then you get to start flying with a partner for at least 15 hours until they cut you loose.
Hardly seems like enough time.
I know. 18-year-old flying a plane.
Just imagine trying to land a plane.
Well, yeah, isn't it driving, you're supposed to be 50 hours when you have your permit, and And this is 15?
It's 40 hours to get the license, but. it dep-
15
yeah.
with an instructor.
Dual instruction, 15 dual instruction.
together. And here's the exciting part, is that many of the aviation, whether it be Delta, United, any of these big airlines are all working on plans right now with federal aviation to be able to work on pipelines, to be able to identify students early that qualify for ground school, to be able to bring them into their pipeline, and they will actually help them continue not only with a small salary and location, but they're also going to help them actually do their flight training time because they are so desperate to have people come in here. So while we are working on this, the many different aviation companies out there that are involved with flight are also working on pathways to be able to make sure they have a trained workforce ready to go as their retirements happen. So it's kind of an exciting time to kind of be involved. Many of them want to be involved with public schools like ours that give this opportunity to everyone because they want the diversity in their workforce. And they are also being held to a very high standard to be able to look at what that diversity is and how it's made up compared to how it has been in the past.
One last question, sorry.
Go for it.
Have we budgeted for repairs and updates and software and all that good stuff? I'm sure probably yes. And also, how are we going to keep these things safe? It's very expensive components, right? So how are we going to make sure that that lab is, safe?
Well taken care of.
Yeah.
I think you'll find that the students in the school are going to see this as being a highlight. I think they'll be very protective of what happens in these labs. That's been one of the experiences that I have learned. You're not going to take one of these big machines out and take it necessarily, right? I mean, it would take a lot to get in there and go do that. Could it happen? I think just like any of our other labs that we have that we've done for, sure, it could happen. But I think there are measurements that we are taking to ensure that it's going to be in a safe location. The teacher, when it comes down to training, I think my bigger concern is for the students to really understand the safety practices that have to happen and to understand that and be able to pass their safety exams before they actually get to do certain levels of whatever it is that they're learning. That will probably be the biggest thing in making sure that the equipment, while they're training in the classroom, is well protected and the students understand what those rules are. And that happens really with almost all of our CT classes, many of our science lab classes, other lab classes that we might have on campus. We focus a lot on safety and ensuring that everybody knows what the expectations are. But I don't think I want to give away some of the trade secrets that we might be doing to protect the equipment.
Okay, I just do want to thank you. Repeating what I said a little bit earlier in my board member comments and what Dr. Prince mentioned about her son, as far as finding yet another way to engage our students, finding something that is going to spark resonance with a student that's going to have them excited to be coming to school. So I'm very excited about this program, looking forward to the the open house that we all get invited to, and really understanding the impact that a program like this is going to have on our district. So with that, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We now move on to item 7, our consent items. The Board of Education may consider agenda consent items as a whole or as individual divisions. Any item may be removed by a member of the board for discussion and possible action. May I have a motion?
I move that we approve agenda consent items as a whole.
I second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We have approved all consent items. Now to item number 12, adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting, please?
Could you do it in memory?
Yes, thank you. I beg your pardon. May I please have a motion to adjourn this meeting in the memory of Sylvia Shorey Barton. Thank you. I beg your pardon.
I will give you a motion to do that. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 9:03 p.m. Thank you all for staying. Great to see you all. Thank you.